All right, and I think that I am finally live. Sorry if anybody out there has been waiting for me, because yeah, it took a little bit longer than I expected to get set up to see you guys and everything. So while people kind of filter in and everything, kind of wanted to start off before we get into the Q&A and everything. Just kind of sharing with you guys what some of my wins for the week have been, because it's been a really good week for me. In terms of a lot of kind of the professional stuff that I work on day in and day out. Um, I think a lot of people would probably be surprised to find how little of the things that I work on that I'm super proud of really have to do with poi. But in a lot of cases, you know, the things that I work on that I'm super proud of have to do with this channel and have to do with the things that I build here. So one of the big things that I am super proud of this week is that the video that I posted this morning on my YouTube and my Facebook, um, which that video went from like idea to shooting to published within like a 3 or 4 day span, and there were a lot of really fun technical challenges associated with it. One of the biggest ones being that, you know, I knew that I want. So the video that went live this morning is a 3 or 4 minute long unbroken tracking shot of me spinning through my favorite monument here in DC, which is the FDR Memorial down around the tidal basin. I think that it is one of DC's best kept secrets in that it is a beautiful monument, and it's a really, really large complex that you can walk through and everything. It has some of my favorite pieces of sculpture of any monument, I think, on the National Mall. Hey there, Theo. You trying to get up, little bean? Need help there? Sorry, the cat's trying to climb up on the chair next to me. Anyhow, so I knew right off the bat that I wanted to have this video be this kind of long tracking shot and everything, and also that I wanted to have sections of it that were going to be in like quarter time or half time or something like that, which meant that in terms of you know, working with the music and everything, I had to have sections of the music that were either playing twice as fast or 4 times as fast as normal, which the sections that are playing 4 times faster than normal, it's too fast to dance to, so when you listen to it and you try and get it down, you're trying to think about when the beat is going to come back in that you can dance to. So I listened to that, to the song with those time signatures edited for a solid, God, actually the entire night before the video shoot, and my girlfriend got to be very, very sick of the song by the end of that evening. Hi there. You want to come join me here? You want to come say hi to the people on the internet, Theo? Sorry, the cat next to me is very much wanting to be the center of attention right now, at least the center of my attention. Yeah, anyhow, so we went down to the FDR Memorial on Sunday morning, because basically I needed to have morning sun coming into it, because all the walls in the FDR Memorial face east. So if I went there in the afternoon, everything would be in shadow. And we basically walked the monument, the memorial, as we were listening to the song to try and get a feel for how far we could actually walk through it for the length of for the length of the song. And you know, we realized very quickly we could only walk through about half of the complex. What kind of cat I got? I don't actually know. Thea was a rescued stray that my girlfriend picked up 2 years ago, before we were dating, and kind of came with her when we moved in together, and they have been a delightful addition to our household. So we realized very quickly that we could only use half of the memorial, so we literally walked through it, blocking section by section where we wanted me to be and where we wanted the camera to be. So my girlfriend, who did all the camera work, she was as choreographed as I was going through that place, which was an interesting challenge for both of us. And in the end, I think we did like 6 or 7 takes of it, and the one that got published today was the last take. And I see Ian Miller was asking if I was using a gimbal, and the answer is no, surprisingly enough. We did not use a gimbal for this. I did all the stabilization in post, and there was actually a couple touch and go moments with that because the camera was shaking a lot more than either one of us expected, and I had to monkey around with the settings of the stabilization a lot before I got something that was usable. But I was really scared for a second there that I'd have to go back and do a second shoot, and I was so relieved when the stabilization finally kicked in and worked. So, calling that a win. And for those of you guys who are watching this video, either now or in the future, the link to that video is down in the description, so you should go check it out, because I think it's probably one of my favorite things that I put on my YouTube channel. The second win for this week is me learning a lot more about color grading for video. Again, you might be surprised how few of the things that I get really proud of actually have to do with poi, but I started filming my videos with a DSLR camera, I think a year and some change ago. I got the camera and I spent 4 months trying to learn how to use it, and I just figured out how to do proper color grading for the first time this past week. And I'm going to see if I can switch over to showing you guys this, because it'd be really cool if it works. Yes, there we go. So what I'm showing you guys right now is a frame from the first video that I have ever properly color graded. What you're seeing on the left there is it's basically the original video, and then what you're seeing on the right is the video color graded. And I didn't realize that for most of the past few months I've been letting my camera do all this stuff in terms of like adding contrast and color balance and everything. And so I figured out finally yesterday how to get as neutral a picture profile as possible out of my camera, and then run it through some decent color grading filters. So I am super duper proud of that, and I can't wait to make that a part of videos in the future and hopefully create some better looking content for you guys. So those are my wins for the week, and Theo is getting out of my lap in the least graceful way possible, and God bless her for it, because she's a very, very special creature. Yeah, so let me see what questions you guys have been putting out there. I've been trying to answer them as they've been coming through here. So those are my wins for the week. Those are the things that I'm proud of, and we'll get into Q&A here. Trevor Kidd is asking, I was wondering if you had played sped up in those sections. Neat way to keep your spinning to the beat while incorporating slow motion. Yeah, I had actually, before we went and shot the video, chopped up the song into sections. Like, I had to plan out in advance which sections I wanted to have in slow-mo, and those were the points where I sped up the music. The interesting thing about that was that the sections that are like at quarter time, I couldn't actually dance to those sections. The music was too fast. So what I had to do instead was figure out a way that I could count through those sections and know when the beat was going to drop back in at normal tempo. That was the challenge there. But hey, it worked out, so I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. Nick Von Ashen says, what program do you use to color grade? So I'm using 2 different programs to color grade right now. So I've gone through so many tutorials on how to do this in the past week, and right now the workflow, and it might change over time, but right now the workflow is I bring the footage into Final Cut Pro, and I do an initial round of color grading where I bring out some of the basic contrasts and adjust some basic things in the color grading. You know, the teal and orange stuff that you see in every video now, as well as you know, just trying to adjust the dynamic range as much as possible without blowing out any sections of the picture. And then and again, this is all new parts of the process. The next step is to export frames from the video and bring them into Photoshop, and essentially run through adjustment layers in Photoshop to kind of create an overall look for the video. And once that's done, you export what are called lookup tables out of Photoshop. it's a file that then Final Cut Pro can read and add another level of color grading to. So it helps create a consistent look between shots, and give the video a distinctive personality. So yeah, I'm finally getting into this world now. It's finally making sense to me. Oh my god. A year ago when I first started using my DSLR to shoot my videos, or it might have been 2 years ago now, come to think of it. So my good friend Charlie Cushing at Lanternsmith actually got into DSLR photography and videography at exactly the same time I did, and he went super deep down the rabbit hole right away, and was working with lookup tables and color grading. And the video, he posted a video of himself doing puppy hammer really soon after this, and the colors in it were just gorgeous. And I didn't really get that deep into it until fairly recently. But I'm glad that I did, because it looks really, really, really awesome. James Farrell, what is poi? It's a potato dish you can get in Hawaii. Sam Villanueva, not to take away from the review of the video, I did love it, but burning question, is any news on PodPoi 2.0? Yeah, I have a set of the betas. They're lovely. I actually have a couple sets of the betas, and let me see if I can remember where I've stuck them. Because I have a lot of sets of poi, and they wander all over creation. So I have one set of the betas that are living right now inside of my Frankenpoi, and I like them a lot. And another set that are living in PodPoi housings, which actually I have been using those for all of the videos that I've recorded on my really sweet backdrop for the past month. So you've been seeing them already in my videos and not even knowing it. So the things I love most about these, number one, are the grouping function. So I have these two grouped. So if I change the mode on one of them, I change the mode on both. And the way they're intending to use this is as a visual thing for people who want to create performances and the like. But I'll also say, purely on a practical level, it's really nice to just turn them both on, but only have to hit one in order to adjust both of them. And that's just the lazy in me talking. But another cool thing you can do with these, of course, is change the brightness settings. And there we go. Oops. There we go. Okay, cool. So, yeah, right here is where I can adjust the brightness settings, except that I just ran out of batteries. Oh well. Anyhow, yeah, so I've posted to my Instagram. Yes, those are from the Thunder video, No Spin Ninjas. One of the great things about constructing poi like this is they work just as well at night as they do during the day. So I've posted on my Instagram videos of these working at different brightness levels, and the long and short of it is that at the brightest brightness setting for these, the batteries don't last too terribly long, but seriously, they are blindingly bright. No one will ever accuse these poi of not being bright enough from here on out. I actually sometimes have a hard time with super bright poi because I can't see the ground beneath me as I'm spinning, and these on the brightest setting are absolutely that bright. So I very rarely use them at that brightness setting. Yeah. Mr. McKay, ability to update firmware means potentially setting the lights up to sync with music like those epic Christmas shows. Yes, totally. Yeah, that is definitely one of the things that I think they're intending to do with these in the future. So yeah, a full review of the PodPoi 2.0s is going to come as soon as they're out of beta. The biggest reason for that being that it is almost certain that some of the interface and modes are going to change between now and then. And I would really prefer to do justice to the product by doing a review of the fully released product rather than the beta version of it. Because we already know of some bugs that they have and everything, and I would rather, review the full release and give them the best possible kind of scenario that I possibly can. So, Podboy 2.0 review coming sometime later this year. I can't tell you exactly when because I don't think they have scheduled the full release date yet for the Podboy 2.0. At least they haven't told me if they have. So, Foster's Factory. Hey Drex, love the video today. Thank you so much. I love the video today too. Question about windmills. So when I do them, the second poise swings down early, right after the first, instead of alternating. Any tips? Yeah, I used to have that same problem too, actually. And here, okay, so here's my other interesting set of poi, which are, so I have the pods, the betas in these, as well as fatty flow cord, because I was finding that the normal flow cords just weren't like showing up on video at all. So these, they're super thick and they're kind of comically thick, but they actually show up on video, which is great. Yeah, so windmills. Okay, so split time is the hardest part of getting these down, by far. To be perfectly frank with you, just practice sitting and chilling in split time, facing either direction. I'm assuming that you've seen my tutorial on how to do these. Like, I seriously say, like, practice just sitting here in split time with your hands up around your ears, you know, for 20, 30 reps on each side until it's like so boring that you're so over it and so ready to move on and everything. Because this is where you get that timing from. And, you know, you don't even actually need to move your hands to do the windmill. You can just go back and forth like this with your hands at your ears if you've got those turns down. And quite frankly, if you're doing it this way or your hands are barely moving, this will solve all of your timing problems right away. So I would recommend working with this, and then as time goes on, you can start introducing your hands back into it, and that should help iron out the split time problems. Just split time is a challenge in and of itself. Spend a lot of time just working on your split time, no matter where you find it. Yeah, it's actually a great drill to move your poi to different places around your body to try and keep that split time constant. Because it does feel very unnatural to the human body. And this is one of those things like pliés and dance where you're like probably never going to perfect it, but you can get a long way towards making it look better, yeah? So good question, thanks Foster's Factory. And in case it's not clear, we have officially moved into the Q&A session of this here live stream. So yeah, please shoot me your questions about whatever tricks you happen to be working on. Or anything related to the work that I do or the flow arts community, anything at all. And yeah, for those of you guys who are able to use the super chat function, that is that lovely little box with a $sign in it. That helps support the channel, and it really, really helps me out. So if you've got a couple dollars to spare, I would really appreciate it. So yeah, send me those questions, and I will do my best to help you guys out with whatever challenges you are facing right now. Send them to me. There's no questions that I have missed just yet, which is awesome, but it leaves me with dead air to work with, unfortunately. Yeah, so get those questions in. Yeah, I reckon... Oh, I can show you how to adjust the brightness settings on these while I'm waiting here. So you want to turn these off. And again, I don't know if this is how it's going to be when they're like finally in full release, but they have something that they call a paging system, wherein you like push the button a certain number of times to access different pages, and the last page is like settings. So I can hit the button 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it'll flash to let me know which page I've gone to. So in that case, it flashed 5 times. And then I go to the second thing here, and this is where I control the brightness setting. So you see how it's flashing twice? So this tells me that it's on brightness level 2. So if I want to put it on brightness level 3, I hold it down, and it's going to start cycling through these. So this is 1, 2, 3. So let's say I want to set that one in. And now I've saved it. And now, when I turn it on, you'll note it is now brighter than the other poi. Aha! See this on different mode here. So what's kind of interesting about this is that this one is slightly brighter than this one, but they're both still in the same mode, which is kind of funky. So yeah, I'm going to change it back right quick. So the No Spin Ninja says, I'm working on isolations. I find it hard to keep the speed. For me, any tips? Yeah, so isolations any way you slice it are difficult. Like, they're probably the closest thing that poi spinners have to, like, juggling tricks, just in terms of difficulty. So, straight up, the biggest helpful tip I can give you when it comes to isolations are to play around with this exercise right here. And the way this is done is you stick your arm out in front of you like you're going to block somebody trying to do a karate chop to you, and you take your poi and you hang it behind your arm, and you try and move your hand around your arm at such a speed that the poi head is always on the other side. Let me do this from the other end here. From your hand, and the tether is always in contact with your forearm, which this is a much bigger challenge than you might think, but it will give you a good feel for the feel of the poise you're going through in isolation. Now, in terms of timing here, again, this is one of those split time moments, and that is not always easy. Very cool. Yeah, so you can definitely see the difference in the brightness sound as you both on white mode. Crazy, huh? So, in terms of finding your timing here, one of those things that I look for is to actually keep, say, like the poi head evenly with a hand. So just kind of like have a visual check as you're doing it, that your hand is even with the poi head as each poi head kind of comes around and everything. And this is one of those things that it's helpful to have a mirror to check on. But like, seriously, if you want to master isolations, this exercise right here, this is like, this is gold. This will get you there and get you cleaner than you could possibly imagine. So yeah, give that a shot. Johnny Barlow says, I've been trying to do a four-poi that I think I've seen in a video of yours. Trying to do a Superman in each hand on either side of my body, but the timing feels strange. Any tips? Yeah, the timing is strange. Good Lord, it's been forever since I've done this. Let's see if I still can, and with mismatched poi, of course. There we go. So, pods 1.0, pods 2.0. All right, let's see if I can even still do this, because it's been a long time since I've practiced this. I don't do much full-on anymore. Yeah, so, you know what I would honestly compare this to is it almost feels somewhat like a crosser done in opposites. So like, if you have the poi going in opposites like this, try and like go back and forth like you're trying to do a crosser, but keep the poi in together opposites the entire time. And that kind of has the feel that you need in order to get through this. You just have to make sure that your hands are moving in such a way that they don't pick up enough of the momentum of the poi that are around your waist to make them spin in their own way, but they just keep bouncing around, yeah? Yeah, I think I picked this one up from Hager back in the day. That is a blast from the past. And of course, tangling is going to be an issue. Yeah, see how I'm like just barely putting enough energy on the poi on the thumb end to keep them moving, but not enough to let the pinky poi come up. Yeah, unfortunately unfortunately, my living room is just not big enough for 4 poi. But I hope you get the idea. Like, it's mainly about finding that together opposite timing going back and forth. That's what I would say. No Spin Ninja says, thanks. You're very, very welcome, No Spin Ninjas. Keep those questions coming, my friends. Yeah, Johnny Bartlow, I hope that helped. Yeah, they're hard to get down. It's really for like, so I have this theory that it's poi becomes exponentially more difficult with each additional poi that you add into your kind of poi ecosystem. Yeah, like you can have a single poi and you can learn tons of shapes with it and everything, and the shapes themselves are not that difficult to learn. But then you have a second poi, and all of a sudden having to deal with all of the planes of that second poi becomes a very, very daunting task. And when you go into a 2 poi, 1 hand kind of situation and everything, I mean, it's like you're relearning poi again from scratch. And then when you add a poi in your other hand, things get way more difficult because you have to keep track of all 3 planes now. And then to do 4 poi, you're talking about learning, 2 poi, 1 hand in both hands, and that becomes a whole thing. Oh, No Spin Ninjas, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Fantastic. Yeah, let me know in the future if the isolations trick worked for you there. Cool, perfect. Yay. Yeah, so 4 poi is challenging. There's just no way around it. And all I can tell you is you got to work through it. It's going to be tough, and it's going to seem like it makes no sense. And here's a great metaphor for some of the things that I was talking about earlier. Because I've of course been working my way into learning video and video editing and everything, and every time I feel like I've kind of figured out like enough and I'm good, then I discover there's this whole other layer to things, like figuring out how to shoot with a flat picture profile in the past week, and how to do proper color grading and using lookup tables and the like. It just feels like no matter how far down the rabbit hole you get, that there's always this other layer. And it's always like hard to be sitting there because you're just like, I just want this journey to be done. And sometimes you just like have to be like, you know what? If this is the journey that I'm on, then this is the journey that I'm on. And I'm gonna keep going down the rabbit hole. And you'll make breakthroughs, and at some point there'll be this moment where you have that aha moment, and oh my god, all the work will feel like it was worth it. Yeah? So, good luck with that. Jazz Clark says, what poi would you recommend for a beginner? Kind of depends upon the age. For a beginner who's younger, I would say like teenager or lower, I would definitely recommend spin balls. They make a great set of poi for kids. They're super light, they're super soft. They have great resources. The company's run by really awesome people. So yeah, I would say go with them. And I would honestly say that that's not the worst option for adults either. It's a $20 set of poi, so it's a really, really low kind of risk threshold there. So if you find that it's not something that you like, you haven't invested a whole bunch of money in it. But some other options, they're a bigger investment, but like pod poi are kind of like the industry standard for a reason now. They're soft, they're very, very flexible. You can use them for just about everything. So I would say one of those 2 options. If you want to take a low threshold risk, spin balls, and if you don't mind, sinking $100 into your first set of poi, then go with pod poi. Neither one of those you can go wrong with. Foster's Factory says, so top stall just literally don't happen for me. Bottom, up, and down all came fairly natural for me. When I tried top, the poi just kind of keeps spinning in the same direction. I feel your pain, Foster's Factory. This was the tip that actually helped me get top stalls, and this was before I started thinking of them as being like corners of a box. But I had I have a very good friend who actually, I still have this good friend, but he's no longer in the flow arts community. And I don't know, this is Theo. Theo has no idea that she's on video right now. Say hi to people, Theo. Anyhow, so the tip that he gave me to learn top stalls is actually that when you do the top stall, you know, you think that you're trying for this like kind of tabletop position right here where the tether is perfectly flat, but you're wrong. That's not actually what you're looking for here. What he told me is that you're actually looking for a point that's like anywhere from a half an inch to a full inch above the koi head. And of course off to the side of it and everything. And when you do that, the audience honestly can't tell that the koi isn't that flat. But what it does do is it gives you an extra like half second of hang time. And it's a lot easier to do this than it is to actually get that tabletop flat stall, which is a royal pain in the ass. So go for the position where your hand is just like a hair of an inch above the koi head. And then all of a sudden you can do these cool, crazy things where the koi literally just seems to hover in midair. And the stall's just going to be easier anyhow, because it's going to start to feel a little bit like a down stall at that point, right? So yeah, look to aim your hand just a little bit above the horizontal level where the koi head is. And that should do the job for you. Yeah? Cool. So, hope that helped. Ken Hill. Hey, Ken, how you doing, man? Says, haha, the rabbit hole is so deep. Yeah. Ken and I have both been exploring how deep the rabbit hole gets on a lot of different things in the past year. Ken, of course, runs his own YouTube channel where he teaches a lot of nunchaku moves, or nunchucks. I don't know what is the non-offensive way to pronounce that, so you guys can correct me in the comments if you like. But he and I have both been on quite a journey in the past year to optimize our channels for YouTube and, you know, improve our video game, improve our thumbnail game, improve the searchability of our videos. And I think that Ken has found, just like I have, that like every time you think that you have like mastered this layer of, you know, search engine optimization or, you know, discovery or what have you, you find out there's a whole other layer. You're just like, oh my god, really? And I mean, that's how it should be. There should always be a challenge attached to it. You know, YouTube is always changing their algorithms, and there's always something new to discover. So yes, Ken, the rabbit hole is so deep. It absolutely is. Cool, guys, keep those questions coming. And again, if anybody has the means, you know, if you got a couple bucks, Super Chat helps out the channel and helps me out personally too. So thank you in advance. The No Spin Ninjas, thank you for your Super Chat a little while ago. Stefan Linden says, can you do spirals with your pod poi? Hi. I don't know if you guys could see that, but Theo wants attention so bad she just bit my shoulder. You are a very, very adorable little ruthless predator, Theo. Yes, you are. Yes. So when you say spirals with your pod poi, do you mean spiral wraps? And the answer to that is yes. I don't actually have to get up very far to show you that. Yeah, it's just these here. So yes, I can do spiral wraps with pods, no problem. I don't know if there are other spirals that you were talking about, but I assume that that's what you meant. Rainbows in the Dark says, forever struggling with straitjackets. Oh, God. Me too. So here's a fun thing that it doesn't actually directly have to do with poi, but it's kind of like a fun little game that you can play. And this is to figure out what your simian index is. So the way this works is I'm going to stand with my back against the wall right here, and I'm going to touch my right fingertips to the wall, like just where the top of my head touches the wall, right? And when we turn around, I'm going to try and reach the floor. And I cannot actually reach the floor because it turns out that my arm span is like an inch, maybe an inch and a half shorter than my height. Now, a lot of people, and especially a lot of people in the flow arts world, have arm spans that are greater than their height by quite a bit. there's a lot of people that I've shown this test to that can actually like, touch their palm to the ground, which just blows my mind. But one of those things that this is actually important for is behind the back tricks, because the longer your arms are, the more reach you have, even behind your back, or in the position that you happen to be in for straitjackets. So because my arms are a little short, I really struggle and have to work hard on the behind the back and straitjacket stuff. But I can I can give you some tips. I'm not like terribly clean with these, but you know, straitjackets are kind of they're easier with longer poi for one thing. So I don't know if you know do when the poi is short. You're basically looking to. Oh my God. It's like a crosser, but your upper body also has to do a lot of like lateral movement. Whoever invented that move, I would really like to give him a swift, hard kick in the rear end. Because it's one of those things that like only other poi geeks know what it is, and like audiences don't care. So why not just, do it as a crosser? But yeah, I can do it. As you can see, it involves like so much movement in the upper body, because like literally there's no movement you can put on the poi from your hands. So I don't have good tips on how to get it down, unfortunately, because I hate doing it. But like, you start off trying to get into like a barrel roll essentially, and then hug your arms as close to your chest as you possibly can and hang on for dear life, is what I will tell you. It's a fun challenge, but it is I at least come out of it with my shoulders being very upset with me. So, take it out with a grain of salt. Cool. So, Autumn Freeman says, where do you get your poi stuff from? It depends. In a lot of cases, companies send me stuff to review and just, hang on to the gear after they sent it to me. So, I have a very extensive collection of poi at this point, and I should probably get rid of some of them at some point because I don't use a lot of them. And, it's one of those things that it just, if I've got it just sitting around and everything, I'm sure there's a kid out there that wants a set of poi, and, it would be good of me to spread a little bit of that love around. But yeah, that's where I get most of my poi stuff from, is companies sending me stuff for review. Or, I have a lot of friends that operate companies that send me stuff to be like, we're working on this, and what do you think about this? And I can give them feedback and the like. I got access to a lot of the spin optic poi stuff months before everybody else did, specifically because they wanted to do some real world testing on it. And, it was fun to use them before the rest of the world, and I got to give Charlie and Lantern Smith some good feedback on it, so it's kind of win-win, Yeah. So, Final D says, hey Drex, I just recently bought some 90s contact poi recently. Congratulations, I hope you are enjoying them. Is it common for them to have slits in the poi? I have poi without the slits and was a little upset because I paid to get fresh new poi. It depends. I'm willing to bet anything, well, not anything, but I'm willing to bet that you got those from Chris Kelly, or probably somebody who's trying to ape Chris Kelly if it's not from Chris. Chris has a different approach to doing it than a lot of people, and a different approach than what I was doing when I was manufacturing poi, where Chris creates this slit very deliberately so you can remove the tether in the future if you would like to, which I'm actually behind that. I think that's not a terrible idea. It's a similar idea behind the Mojo heads. One of the things that I love the most about these is that I can remove the section in the middle and change out the tethers if I want to. Like, that's awesome. I think that's a great selling point. The one, question that I always have with poi that have had the heads been slit is that you're basically introducing a point of weakness into the head. And how does that hold up over time? And the short answer is I don't know. I haven't seen a set of Chris's poi after like 2 or 3 years worth of use. But I do know that he also like has holes at the edges of the slit to try and diffuse some of the stresses on it. So it might work, it might not. I'm honestly not sure, but it's not that rare. But yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from. I always thought it looked kind of ugly, and that's why I figured out how to make my poi without cutting slits in them. It made the manufacturing a lot harder, but I thought that it was worth it for kind of, what I consider to be a better looking set of poi. So, is it common? It's not uncommon. I don't think most manufacturers use the slits, but it is a thing that happens, and I totally get why it doesn't feel right with them. But try them out for a little while and see if it grows on you. I don't know who you bought them from, but yeah, it's one of those things that you have them, so like see if you can use them. Yeah. Swanee Kazoo says, "Hi Drex, thank you for your videos over the year. My pleasure. They've helped me learn a lot. Was wondering what a Udistall is. I saw your 1-minute tutorial, but I'm still not quite clear on what is going on." Sure. So the short answer is that a Udistall is a type of plane breaking stall. I'll do it with just one poi so you can kind of understand the mechanics of part of what's happening here, which is that you're doing a stall that breaks horizontally, so it's either a top stall or a bottom stall. It doesn't really matter which one. But once you do that, you're able to move the poi through a horizontal plane, right? You're basically pulling it away from that stall plane. And what makes Udistalls different than most 3D types of poi spinning are that most 3D types of poi spinning are centered around doing like anti-spin flowers in a horizontal plane. Udistalls are built around trying to do in-spin flowers in a horizontal plane. So after I do that stall, I can bring it around and stall it back to the other side. So essentially, what I'm doing horizontally is the exact same thing as like this set of stalls right here. This is what it would look like if you were looking down on me from above, yeah? So again, as it goes out to the side, I go around and I can pull back out of the stall, right? And what's interesting about that is, in some respects, it's actually easier than a lot of the 3D stuff that we do, in that, like, if you can, like, just fling the poi back and forth like this, you can do Udistalls. Because all you need to do to pull out of this into a vertical plane is just pull the poi out, yeah? And again, I can, do the bottom stall, whip the poi around, and then pick up the poi into my wall plane. And the only difference at that point is that you figure out how to do pirouettes, make it look more like U-deck, and there you go. You've got Udistalls down. So the great thing about it is it takes advantage of some things about stalls, and it looks like a magic trick. They're fantastic. I definitely, the first time I saw you doing them was just like, what just happened? So yeah, that is what is going on there. I hope that helps. Stefan Linden says, "Thank you. You answered my question exactly." About doing spirals with pod poi. Cool, great to hear. Raymond's in the dark. Interesting, thanks. No stress, Drex. Well, I did it anyway, so there you go. You get to look at me making a fool of myself for a little while as I work on those straitjackets there. 12 Soccer Dude E12 2021. Good Lord says, "Been working on folding lines lately and having trouble losing the ball off my arm as I unfold it." Yeah, that happens to me a lot too. Starting back of hand and opening to palm of hand, if that makes sense. It absolutely does, because I've had that same trouble, believe it or not. So you're talking about the fold going from inside back to outside, right? So you can kind of cheat this a little bit if you want to, in that you can. Do you see how I'm like not actually letting the poi get all the way into the pit of my elbow, and I'm just kind of like letting it glide along my forearm in inward and then back outward, you know, you want to make sure that you feel the poi touching your arm the entire way through, right? Then once you get more daring, you can play around with having that point of contact rise longer and actually going into the pit of your elbow, right? Now, what happens to most people when they lose the poi here is that they move their hand too far out of the way. You'd be surprised, actually. Let me show this to you from the side here. As I'm doing the full back out. Now, do you see how my arm is actually curled quite a bit forwards? Like, my hand is actually a few inches in front of my chest here. It's not like I'm looking to go all the way back out straight from my shoulder, right? This is part of what makes this work, is trying to keep your hand a little bit in front of your body so that there's a little track for the poi to run in, and its momentum is going to want to take it straight forwards. So if your hand curves just a little bit forward, you can ensure that that point of contact stays the entire way. Yeah? So yeah, that is how you make that happen. Oh, Ken Hill says I have to run, recording my own tutorial video, but great job on your music video today. Thank you. I posted your live stream around Facebook. Woohoo! Respect for all you do and keep at the forefront, man. Thank you so much, Ken. Good luck on filming. Cool. So yeah, I hope that helps 12 Soccer Dude 21. Cool. Cody JB 818 says, any tips on exiting orbitals? Yes. So here's the thing, is that when you're trying to get out of an orbital, I know this moving very, very fast and it's very, very difficult to see exactly what's going on here. Here's the cheat sheet for getting out. Basically, let it go too long that time, but you know how you have to pull out on the handles in order to make it go fast like this? You let the handles out again. Like, you give it just a little bit of slack, and that helps you see where the exit is. That helps you treat it more like a hyperloop. And of course, sometimes it still doesn't work. Another thing that can help is if you color differentiate them, you can see which one is your right hand poi and which one is your left hand poi. And just know that the left hand poi has to get to the outside of your arms on the back side before your right hand poi does. So, let me do this towards the right here so you can see a little bit better. So let go a little bit, and it should make it easier to see the exit. Assuming that I can find the exit myself. Let me make this easier on myself. It should also be said that even people who have been doing this for years sometimes have a hard time seeing the exit. There we go. So yeah, you basically want to pull out and see the right hand poi shoot out straight in front of you. And then the left hand poi can come out from in between your arms, and that will help you unwrap it. Yeah. So, close notes, slow it down so you can see what's happening, and make sure that the left hand poi exits the nexus in between your arms first, yeah? Good question. Cool. There's a whole bunch of you on here right now. Cool. I'm probably going to do this for like another 15 minutes or so. So yeah, send me those questions as they come to you. And also, again, if you guys have a couple dollars, the super chat function helps out the channel. It helps me to be able to keep on making these videos. So if you can help out the channel, it means a lot, and I really appreciate it. Cool. Stefan Linden says, hope, just hope. I'm guessing that is with respect to either the orbitals or the... oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was that hard to hear. I will fix that. I will talk louder. Yeah. Final D wasn't Chris, but indeed LA-based. Interesting. I didn't know there was anybody in LA making Contact Boy. That's good to know. Ashen Fire, I almost missed you tonight, Drex. I'm glad you didn't, Ashen. Welcome. Ken Hill said he had to run. Swanee Kazoo said it does help. Thanks. My pleasure. I'm glad that helps. Stefan Linden, my hyperloops look wobbly, but I can come out and do the work. Should I work on that? Absolutely. Getting a stable hyperloop is absolutely essential to getting a good exit out of your orbitals. Make sure that you make that a priority. I would honestly say that figuring out your hyperloops and being able to do them cleanly is an absolute must for being able to do orbitals, at least if you want to get back out of them. Yeah? So yes, absolutely. Absolutely get your hyperloops down first. That is one of those walk before you run kind of moments. 12 Soccer Dude 21 says, yep, it does. Thanks. You are most welcome. Cody JB 818. Thank you. That helps. Glad to hear that. Cody JB, it was a little hard to hear you back there. Yep, I totally got that. Gonna try and talk louder. Swanee Kazoo was also wondering if your FlowToys promo code applied to international orders. I do not know the answer to that. Why don't you try it out and you can tell me? I have no idea. And as it's 1 a.m. here, I should go to sleep. 1 a.m. Where are you that it's 1 a.m.? Back in Europe, I would imagine. Thanks for the answers and looking forward to catching up on stream tomorrow. Cool. Stefan Linden says, I can get out of orbitals just fine, but my hyperloops aren't that great. Is that weird? Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes people kind of learn things in different orders than other people. For example, I learned how to do fishtails with poi long before I learned how to do fishtails with stabs. And all of my friends that spun staff thought this was the craziest thing, because everybody I know that can fishtail both with stabs as well as poi, they all insist that poi is like an order of magnitude harder to fishtail with. But for some reason, I got them down with poi first, and then trying to figure out how to fishtail with stabs, just couldn't wrap my head around it. Which I can do them now, thankfully. But it was definitely one of those moments from a lot of my staff friends. So yes, I feel you on that one. Johnny Barlow, it's 1 a.m. in the UK. Oh my goodness. Then yes, you guys in the UK should get to bed. Yeah, sorry, I've been trying to do these live streams a little bit later because it allows people in the United States, specifically on the West Coast, to be able to tune into them, because they are 3 hours ahead, or rather behind where I am. Which is kind of funny that the UK is 3 hours behind and the West Coast is 3 hours ahead. Excuse me, it's the other way around. But yeah, UK, I was working late, saw your stream by accident. Thanks again and good night. Thanks to you, Swanee Kazoo, for tuning in. Yeah, and again, if anybody has more questions, please keep them coming. And if anybody has the means to help me out in Super Chat, which Popcorn Kasuni does, hooray! Hey Drex, have you heard any word on the Podpoi 2.0 release date yet? No. So they are releasing a second round of beta Podpoi any minute now, any day now, I think. And they have fixed a couple of the glitches that were detected in the first generation of the betas. As for a full release date, I don't know. It could be, I honestly don't know. I just don't know. I remember having a conversation with Sean and Prisoner at one point where they were talking about having a release date that was sometime in festival season, but it's been at least a year since then, so I don't know if that is still the plan. What I would do is I would get on the mailing list for the beta 2.0s, see if you can get sent a set of betas to play with, because they're really, really fun. And the good news is that because you can update the firmware on them and everything, I think the betas are going to be pretty close to what the final version is, and you'll just need to update the programming on them and everything. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. And thank you again for the super chat, Popcorn Consumer. The $5 is really helpful. Stefan Linden, what state are you in? I'm not in a state. I'm in the District of Columbia. Yeah, I've lived in DC now for 10 years. I came here to work in human rights and stuck around to become a freelance YouTuber and flow artist. There are not many of those here in DC, which, I'm okay with, but beautiful city, beautiful city. And Theo is back to wanting to cuddle. Yeah. You want to say hi to the internet, Theo? Or you just want to sit in my lap? Okay, that's cool too. Yeah. Yeah. I want to show the fine people Theo of the clan. Jeez. Okay. Now I'm putting you back down. Cool. Final D says, that's awesome. I agree. Cool. So I'm on here for another 10 minutes, guys. Please send me those questions as they come up. And if any of you guys, like Popcorn Kasune, want to throw a couple dollars towards the channel, it really helps out, and I really appreciate it. Stefan Linden says, you should totally visit Massachusetts. I do on occasion, actually. It's been a couple years since I've been there, but I have many, many, many friends that live in Massachusetts. Probably, if I come up this year, it'll be around wildfire. So, yeah, I would love to come back up to Massachusetts. Preferably in the summertime and not the winter, because I have been there once in the winter, and that kind of sucked. So yeah, I'll come up and visit sometime. Popcorn Kasune says, do you keep the beta versions or do you send them back? I don't know. I think you keep them. I'm pretty sure you keep them. Hi there. Theo just wants all the attention tonight. I think you get to hold on to them, but don't quote me on that one. That is a question better suited to Sean and Prisna. So yeah. Yeah, if you're on like PoiChat, you know, they're posting about the betas every so often there, and they include a link to where you can sign up to be on the mailing list about them. And once you're on the mailing list, you can get a set sent to you to test out. So I would recommend that. Fide Forsad, I don't know. Are you planning to come to Argentina sometime? I hadn't originally planned on it, but I can totally come down there. Are there a lot of flow artists down there? That might be fun. Teach some workshops or something. Stefan Linden, we got like 2 feet of snow today. Good Lord. I agree that winter isn't an ideal time for Massachusetts. I'm glad to hear we agree on that one. Very glad to hear we agree on that one. But yeah, it's a lovely place to be in the summertime. I'd be happy to come there in the summertime. Ashen Fires says, do you think you'll visit Austin anytime soon? We have a pretty nice group here who has Sunday night burns / fire spins together. Cool. Yeah, maybe. So one of those things that I've been wanting to do this year is do a workshop tour through different parts of the states. And I'm still like, I have such an awful habit of like getting tunnel vision on producing content. So I don't like do the legwork when it comes to putting together workshop tours and the like. But yes, I want to come through and do workshop tours, and Austin would be a great place to visit. So yeah, if you have any friends in Austin who would like to see me come through, have them either comment on this video or on my Facebook and let me know that I should come there sooner rather than later. No, Kitty, not on the keyboard, not on the keyboard. Yeah. Ashen Fire says 2 feet of snow. Wow, we're planting gardens in Texas. I believe it. We're not quite to the point where we're planting gardens in Washington, D.C., but they're forecasting the peak bloom of the cherry blossoms to come by the end of the month. So hopefully that means things are going to warm up quickly. Ashen Fire, fantastic. I will do that. Outstanding. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. Yeah. Cool. More questions, pretty please. I'm probably actually only going to stay on for another 5 minutes here. So yeah, let me know what your burning questions are and what tricks I can help you with. Yeah. And also, whether the real star of this video was indeed Theo. Stefan Linden, the crazy thing is last week it was like 60. Yeah, we had a 70-degree day here in DC a couple weeks ago, which I'm very glad that I got outside to spin on that day, because it was very, very good for my seasonal grumpiness. Yeah, it was. I'm glad that I got out that day because I would have been really, really upset if I had just let that opportunity pass by. Foster's Factory, the funny thing is here in Massachusetts, 1 week on Monday-ish, it was like summer weather, then followed by snow Friday. Yeah, so I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and Boulder, Colorado is exactly the same way. I always used to joke that there is always snow on Halloween in Boulder, but there's never snow on Christmas Day. Um, in fact, I remember a year when it was 70 degrees out on Christmas Day. I kid you not. Um, and you could see snow up in the mountains and everything. It was the wildest thing. Wildest thing. Jode says, "Hi, I'm in the UK also. Oh, it is late your time. Also, I tuned in to take a break from some heavy paperwork, so I thought I'd ask about your thoughts on using poi and the flow arts for healing from traumatic experiences." Um, so I do not have any personal experience in that regard, in that um, I feel fortunate that nothing terribly traumatic has happened to me in my life. Um, and thus my poi spinning is not a form of therapy on that. But that said, I have absolutely taught people poi for whom it was a form of therapy. I have a student right now who has used poi to help recover from post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's been really, really great for them in terms of developing a kind of focus and a place where they can center themselves when moments occur that bring back those stressors for them when they do get triggered. Um, that said, it is a piece of a puzzle. Like, you know, for somebody who's suffering from PTSD, there has to be some degree of, you know, counseling, and of course having a supportive family around them and everything as well. But poi can be a part of that, absolutely. I also know people in the poi community who have, you know, disorders ranging from multiple sclerosis to cystic fibrosis, and poi can be difficult for them. But it is also something that they truly enjoy, and I think one of those things that still makes them feel connected to their bodies. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Popcorn Kitsune. You are my hero for the night. Thank you for the advice in the 2.0s. I will try that. Also, I've been loving the videos you've been putting out lately. Thank you so much. Keep being your awesome self. I will do my best. Thank you so much for the super chat again. Wow, that is fantastic. You are awesome. Yeah, so in terms of physical therapy, those are the experiences that I have seen. In terms of like more mental illnesses, you could throw a rock and you would hit somebody in this community that suffers from depression or anxiety. It's a very, very common thing. And again, I think that flow arts is a good way to center people. Like, I know that when I'm practicing a trick, I have to be fully present in the moment in order to, like, not just fall apart from frustration and all that. And being able to focus like that is super helpful for dealing with things like depression and anxiety. I will also say that getting a lot of exercise is hugely helpful for both of those disorders. And poi spinning is a great way to do that. Poi spinning gets you outside, it gets you moving, it gets you active, it gets your muscles pumping and everything. So do the flow arts have a role in therapy for people with mental disorders? I absolutely think that they could. Yeah, 100%. Do we have any studies to go along with that? No, because the field of study for flow arts is still very young, unfortunately. And a lot of it has kind of concentrated on benefits to the elderly, because, you know, with the way the population works in the United States and most Western nations, we've got kind of a population funnel where a large part of the population is nearing or in retirement age, and they tend to be the people with the most money. So studies about the effects of physical activities on the elderly are very common nowadays, but studies like that on younger people are a little bit harder to find funding for. So I don't know when we'll get an answer on that, but in the meantime, it's not going to hurt, is what I will say for that. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that speaks to that somewhat. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, and I don't feel like I'm qualified to kind of make pronouncements on that. But that's the best answer I feel like I can give, and be intellectually honest both with myself and all of you guys. So I hope that's okay. Stefan Linden, I get to spin with someone for the first time in months this weekend. I really hope the snow melts. I hope so too. I hope so too. I hope you have awesome weather this weekend, because I think we are all desperate for spring to hit. Final D says, good question. Cool. Arcane Raver 23. When is the time to buy new props for fire spinning? Like, when is it time to replace them? What are the signs and the risks? So, one of the things that I look out for with fire tools that are ready to be replaced is how much of the surface is covered in white. That is, after a while, fire wicks, they first char and turn black, and then the tips of them start turning white and unraveling. And when you get about like probably 30 or more % of the head with the covered in the white, then, excuse me, I need to take a drink here. Wet my whistle a little bit. Then you almost certainly have lost some of the mass of the head to just being burned out and everything. So that would be a good time to buy a new prop, because at that point you're no longer getting as long a burn as you could if you had fresh wicks. So that would be my rule of thumb there. I would also say that if there are pieces falling off of the prop, definitely get a new prop. And I'm not like, there are little Kevlar threads that'll come off from time to time and just need to be snipped. That's totally fine. But if you see a scrap of Kevlar coming off, it is time to replace your wicks / your equipment. Yeah? Cool. So good question, Arcane Raver 23. And it is 9:15 now, so I'm going to draw this to a close. Thank you so much to all of you out there who watched and gave me your awesome questions, and especially to those of you who supported the channel in Super Chat tonight. It is so helpful. Thank you so much. I'm going to throw out a couple quick thank yous. The first thank you is to my awesome patrons on Patreon. Basically, Patreon is what is keeping my channel alive right now. It is what allows me to do this full time. And, sorry, of course, another drink that is coming back up. But Patreon is what sustains my channel right now. So if you have the means, you can sign up to Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And I usually produce about 8 videos per month. So that's like, 12 cents per video? That's a pretty good deal, I think. And, you get early access to my videos, behind-the-scenes content. I frequently ask for opinions on things. Like, for instance, with my video this morning, the flow video, I actually had 2 different takes that I was wrestling with. Which one should be the one to go live this morning? And I asked my patrons on Patreon, and they gave me some great sage-like advice, and that helped me select which take I wanted to post. So sign up if you can. If not, no worries. I'm also going to thank the friends of the channel. These are 5 wonderful companies that help support my work and make it possible for me to continue making these videos. The friends of the channel are Dark Monk, Amazing Lights, Flow Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi. Thank you one and all for making these videos possible, and for being awesome companies out there supporting the flow arts. And that is going to draw us to a close. Thank you all so much for watching, and have yourselves a really, really, really lovely night. And if you have not already, please check out the video that I posted this morning, the one to Thunder by Imagine Dragons, because I am really, really proud of how it came out. I think it looks really cool. Yeah. Anyhow, have a great night, everybody. Peace.